Okay, it says I'm live. I'm going to give it a moment or two. There we go. Howdy. How's everyone doing tonight? Got a couple people out there, it looks like. Pete, I saw you, so I decided let's just go ahead and get it started. You know what I mean? Happy Friday evening. Everybody hear me okay, see me okay, all that good stuff. Hopefully. Captain Phil, how you doing? Hopefully you can hear and see me. Or can you? Maybe? Looks good. Okay. Thanks, Pete. Appreciate it. Ohio, good to see you. What's new, guys? What's going on out there? Good drive. Okay. Cool. Is it cold where you guys are? It is finally starting to become winter here. We got a little snow earlier this week. In fact, it's snowing right now, although it's not sticking for whatever reason, even though it's cold enough to stick. But I don't know if it's 15 degrees or something like that. So it's finally feeling like winter. And I like winter. I like the cold. So this is just fine by me. I don't mind the toes being a little bit cold, a little bit numb from time to time. Doesn't bother me a bit. So, Captain Philly driving home, 0 degrees. Oof. Okay. Ohio, 6 degrees tomorrow, 43 now. That is quite a change right there. That's something we go through a lot here as well. No doubt about that. Wow, very good. Well, whoever else is watching, feel free to holler in, say hello, all that good stuff. Be sure to throw some questions in there if you like. I'm sitting here with a couple of CZs. There's no surprise there, although I do like other guns. I swear, it just happened to be I picked up a PO1 yesterday. I'm kind of going back in the past a little bit because I moved away from the PO1 for a little while, and so I decided to re-pick one up, and it's the green one. And I think Pete, remind me, is it you or is it Scott that has a green PO1? One of the two of you guys, I think, does. But either way, I picked it up, and I thought of you guys both when I picked it up, and I've got some lock grips on the way. I thought I'd do some FDE grips on that because black grips are kind of boring and the green is so dark on it. But anyway, I'm excited for that. Also have the SPO1 Phantom sitting here. So apparently it's a CZ night, but again, I like other brands a lot as well. So in fact, I've been looking around for some fun Berettas just for funsies. So that might happen here before entirely too long. So GB Guns, wow, GB, it's good to see you, man. Appreciate you stopping by, really do. That's very nice of you. Is it Hacho Gonzalez? Hopefully I'm saying that right. Good to see you as well. So GB, what's new in your world, man? What are you testing? You're always testing crazy things. By the way, if you guys all don't know, GB's got a channel out there. You ought to go check them out for sure. But anyway, so yeah, I'm sort of surrounded by CZs tonight for whatever reason, but I'm sure it'll be Berettas tomorrow night or HKs or something else. So I don't know. I'm kind of boring. Apparently a broken record, but GB, appreciate what you do. Well, I don't really do much these days, but starting to live stream a little bit more, and that may lead to other things. Who knows? A lot of it is just, it's schedule dependent. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Life gets in the way sometimes. So that's just kind of how it is, Pete, PO1 is black, except for the urban gray one. Okay, all right, very good. Then it must be Scott, and maybe he'll join later and confirm that. But I thought maybe one of the two of you guys did. So Ohio saying GB is one of the most thorough, objective reviewers. 100%, absolutely. I just like the fact that he wheels in a lot of things that other people don't show on a channel and talk about and give some love to. I think that's one of the coolest parts about it. What did you have not too long ago? There was an Excalibur or a variant of the Excalibur, I believe. I was excited to see that because admittedly, I have never tried an Excalibur and I'd really like to. So maybe someday down the road, but it's really fun to see some of those really cool guns. So it says it never stops, but lately been coasting thanks to the weather. Okay, all right, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, very good. Let's see, Pete. Sometimes the Urban Gray talking about the PO1 and black mix their colors. Okay, all right. Well, fair enough. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Anthony Harvey, good to see you. Good to see you. Just picked up a P10 optic ready, P10C rather, optic ready from PSA for less than $350 on sale right before Christmas. Man, you can't beat that. You can't beat that. Another thing I've seen coming into centerfire quite a bit lately are TSOS 1911s of various sorts. I guess PSA was having a sale on those as well. I have never shot a TSOS 1911. In fact, I do have a TSOS. It's a Beretta 84 clone. I forget what they call it. The Fatih. I think it's called the Fatih. So I do have one of those because I don't really like shooting the older Berettas that I have. I kind of like to preserve those. So I have clones that I can really enjoy and beat up and that sort of thing. But I would like to try a TSOS 1911 at some point in time. I know they have some good 9mm, and I prefer that in 1911. And I know that's terrible to say. 45 is, of course, the traditional 1911, and I enjoy those as well. But 9mm is just kind of fun. I think it's kind of an interesting experience. So anyway, Dan O'Neill, Dan, good to see you, man. Do it live. Yeah, Bradley, good to see you as well. Gotta love PSA. I agree. They do some really good sales. In fact, I don't know that I'm on any mailing lists for them right now, and I should probably get on one, although that might be a little bit dangerous. I don't think I need anything else right now. Ohio, 3 TSOS 1911s, good guns, forged steel. So you haven't had any issues or anything like that. Again, I can't find anybody complaining about them. They seem to be really good, especially for the money. And people are picking them up for, like $400 or $500 or even less. That's pretty cool, especially if you want to dip your toes into the 1911 game, but you don't want to spend $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, something like that. Because we all know most of the time, 1911s, it's an investment. There aren't as many budget options that are good quality, or at least in my opinion, just from what I've seen. So the opportunity to do that and not spend as much money is actually a pretty cool deal. So Pistol Pete, I've seen the Shadow 2 down to 900 at times. Yeah, I have as well. Not often, but it does happen from time to time. I actually have been kind of looking around for a Shadow 2 Orange, and dealers, most of the dealers are out right now, and everything that's out on the open market, like on Gunbroker, what have you, they're just a little bit too expensive. I get that they've got the barrel bushing and a little bit more of a tuned trigger on it, although the regular Shadow 2 is just fine. But $1,500, $1,600, $1,700, nah, hard pass on that. I think the juice isn't quite worth the squeeze at that point in time. But if you can get a Shadow 2 for $900, do it. You owe it to yourself to do that for sure. Captain Phil, TSOS has the bobbed grip 1911s too. They look pretty good. Yeah, 100%. I have a Dan Wesson Guardian 9mm, another 9mm, and I absolutely love it. It feels fantastic in the hand, largely because of that bob tail, or some people call it a fastback, what have you. But they do feel really good in the hand for sure. So I'm trying to think what else is new. Been kind of shopping around for TS2 as well. Again, another CZ, boring. And I kind of feel like that's sort of it. Again, a couple of Berettas. I am forever on a quest to find a Beretta 83. And I've talked about that a little bit before on previous streams. I don't think they exist. Well, I think they exist, but I don't think they've ever come to the United States, or at least from what I can tell, from what I can prove. And so that's going to be kind of a forever thing. Every time I get on Gunbroker, the first thing I do is check to see if I can find a Beretta 83. Finally started seeing 82s, so I did pick up one of those. But someday, maybe pick up a Beretta 83. So who knows? Let's see. Ohio to Captain Phil, waiting for the AL frame bobtail to go on sale. Okay, cool. very cool. Speaking of weird, obscure sorts of things, and 380, because the Beretta 83 is a 380. I actually did pick up a Glock 25. In fact, we were talking about that 2 weeks ago on the live stream, and so I did pick one up, and I did have the chance to shoot it a little bit. It is a hoot to shoot, and I did not mean to rhyme that, but it is absolutely hilarious. It is basically like shooting a 22. There's basically no recoil because 19 is, it's a big enough gun. It's a heavy enough gun, especially with a 380. There's just nothing to it, and it worked very well. I mean, we only put, I think, 50 rounds through it, but everything was fine. We'll go back and do it again at some point in time. But yeah, that's another one that if you have the opportunity, it might be fun to pick up. Plus, that's actually been around since about maybe 97, 98, somewhere around there, and just now becoming available in the US. I don't know. I think that's actually kind of cool. They have, of course, the Glock 28 as well out there. That's the 26 size 380, but the 25 is really cool. It is a lot of fun. GB, I will not be at shots. No, we've got to have a few adults that remain at center fire to take care of things, but some of our guys are going. But yeah, I just can't. And my big boy job, my day job, it's harder to get away in the industry that I'm in. So especially this time of year. So unfortunately not. Someday I will go. I keep saying that I'll do it, but at some point I definitely will, just not this year. Brian Schuler, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, says hello from North Texas. Hello from Kansas City. Hello. Bradley, not big into 380, but G25 does sound pretty cool. Oh, it 100% is. I mean, seriously, if you get an opportunity, it's worth it. It's a real bummer that 380 is more expensive, and in some cases substantially more expensive than 9mm, because I think 380 is a great round. Is it the ultimate defensive round? Absolutely not. No. I'd be kidding everyone to say that it is, but it's certainly better than other options out there. It's better than nothing, of course. And it's viable, and it's just fun. It is fun. And it's an opportunity for perhaps a few more people to get into it a little bit without as much recoil, because some people are really timid about shooting, especially newer shooters. And there are other people as well. I mean, I've met some grown men who've gone out on the range and turned right around and walked back out and not gone back in. So it happens. So anytime you can minimize that shock a little bit is not a bad thing. So the Glock 25 might be a good option for that. So three-wheel man in C, PO1 in green is sweet with lock grips. It stands out for sure. Upgraded the trigger and it's a keeper. Same for the black PO1. Three-wheel, what did you do on the trigger? I would be curious. I assume you did something Cajun Gunworks related. Did you do is it the 85 combat trigger on it? I'd be curious about what sort of thing you did. Because I've thought maybe about sending it off to have Scott and the gang at Cajun Gunworks work on it. But I don't know. Right now, I'm not sure I want to invest more money into it, but it's something I've been kind of toying around with. So, or I'll need to learn how to take it apart myself. And I could take apart quite a few guns. I have never done a CZ before. So I've been able to convince myself on that one yet. So Ohio, I have a daughter-in-law that's recoil sensitive. The G25 sounds perfect for her. Yeah, I think it really would. I think it would be a lot of fun, first and foremost, and less impactful from a recoil perspective, and it might allow her to enjoy and kind of get into things a little bit more, because the last thing we want to do is scare people off, right? We want people to enjoy and understand and have a good time and all that kind of stuff. So good luck with that. Steve B, I was at Cabela's this week. Don't know what they're smoking when it comes to pricing. Used guns, a used Shadow for $1,500. You know what? Cabela's has always been known for that. If you go into their library, which is where a lot of their used ones are, at least here in Kansas City, because we've got one in Kansas City, Kansas, by the Kansas Speedway. And their gun library, although they have some neat things in there from time to time, the pricing is outrageous. If you look at like, what's a good example? A P30, HK P30, brand new. I mean, let's say those are maybe $650 or something like that. In the library, they'll be $630. And at that point, buy new. Why would you even consider a used one? And the idea for used firearms is to allow people to try some things out, maybe not break the bank, a little bit more budget friendly, but have the option to buy firearms that they maybe otherwise would not be able to or wouldn't be tempted to do so, to get more people into the sport. So I don't know. That is just kind of a weird thing to me. I don't understand it, and I wonder how many they sell. They must do pretty well. That formula must work for them. I'm not sure how, but I would hope more people would be educated about firearm prices, both new and used, where to find them, where to research as well. I mean, Gunbroker can be a really good analytic as long as you have an account with them, because you can actually see sold prices out there. So you can be a little bit more educated, especially if you're trying to move something along to maybe make room for something else, but also just to get an idea of what prices are like, what the market is doing. So I don't know. That's my soapbox for the time being. Three Wheel Man, one triggers from Cajun. Okay. PO1 Black is from Apex. I'm not sure I knew Apex did a PO1 trigger, or a CC75 trigger for that matter. Interesting. Had a local gunsmith do both. Okay, fair enough. I was talking with 1776 or Bust this was a couple of days ago, and he has actually done some work on a few CZs. So it's possible it can be done, and I'm sure there are good resources out there. I think he was saying, who is he saying? It might have been M Carbo has some good videos out there if you want to take apart CZs and work on them. So that might be something to look into. GB, any lock breech 380 is going to be more comfortable. It's amazing what a non-blowback 380 can feel like. Yeah, 100%. That you're exactly right. And it is just shockingly fun. So hopefully you'll have an opportunity to try one out as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts on one. When I was thinking about picking one up, there were no videos out on it yet. And I'm like anyone else, I like to go out and see what other people have to say about things or what their experiences are, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'd love your thoughts on that. Let's see. It's bow time with Uncle Dan, and Uncle Dan, it's good to see you, my friend. But was trad, is that short for something, or traditional, or I'm not sure what that is, but Uncle Dan, it's great to see you. And howdy back. Ohio, people don't know where to look for bargains. It's all they know. Get educated, and encourage everyone you know that is getting interested in firearms to know the sources to go to for information, not only YouTube, but then also if they're wanting to get prices on things. Like I said, and I'm not trying to advocate Gunbroker per se, but if you at least want to see what the market is doing, both for new and for old, you can't beat it. You really can't, because it's kind of the biggest, shopping conglomerate out there for firearms. So I think it's a great place to start. I really do. Gizzard Gary, good to see you, man. Good to see you. I hope you're well. Pistol Pete, I used to make a lot of money from eBay misspellings. Gunbroker makes that more difficult. Yeah. All right, Three Wheel Man, action enhancement kit for CC75B, decocker models only, 165, availability in stock. Okay, that's cool, man. That's really cool, and thanks for sharing that. Really appreciate it. It's very nice of you. Yeah, I'll do a little bit more research. I kind of want to try and work on it on my own, but we'll see. I may get cold feet at the last minute. Who knows? All right, Brian, I'm a longtime DASA guy of the SIG P226, fantastic firearm, one of my favorites. HK USPs, yes, the USP-C. I absolutely love USPs. Beretta PX4, heck yeah. What will CZ PO7 or other pistols in that class add to that group? Will it add anything based upon that? I mean, now the 226 is a little bit different because that's going to be alloy or steel, depending on the model you have. Unless you go with is it a 2022, a SIG 2022? That's going to be the polymer version of a 226. And I think it's the size of a 226. I think it's longer than a 229, but it's kind of in that area. So if you wanted the polymer version of the SIG 226, get a 2022. But PO7, PO9, They're good guns. The one criticism I have of the P07 and P09, and we've got one on our rental range at Centerfire, so I was kind of playing around with it because I was contemplating maybe picking up a P07. Whatever, I'm weird. The one problem is once you pull that trigger and it breaks, and then you go for the reset. That reset is 10 miles out there, and then you've got to come back to the wall again. And I'm exaggerating, obviously, but there's a pretty significant difference there. And the problem I have with that, and especially with a bum wrist, when I'm going out to the reset and then coming back to the wall again, there's enough space where there's time and room to wiggle a little bit. And I do mean kind of wagging the gun a little. And it may not be very much, but when your target is, 30 feet out or whatever it is, that can translate into several inches off of where you intended to fire. I feel like the P07 and the P09 are more like that than the P01 Omega, and they all have Omega triggers, but then also any of your standard 75s, whether it be like the Phantom of the P01 that are sitting in front of me or some of the other ones. For whatever reason, I feel like the reset's just a hair shorter on those, and it eliminates or at least reduces that opportunity for that wag that I experience. So that's the one criticism I have of the P07 and P09. Otherwise, fantastic guns, extremely reliable. They're kind of built like tanks. So I mean, they're worth trying out, especially if you can find one on a rental range. But yeah, I mean, for polymer DASA, if you wanted something a little bit more wacky, that SIG 2022 is actually a pretty good gun, and you can find them pretty cheap. So might be worth trying. Let's see. GB Gunbroker also lets you know when to hold and when to sell. I have a couple of old, is it Vepr, I guess, Vepr rifles. I haven't shot in a while. No idea. They're now worth 4 times what I paid for them. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And again, like many other types of markets, the firearm market swings like a pendulum a little bit. And right now we're actually in a downturn. Everything just it's very soft. It's a soft market or a bear market, I guess you could say. So there, you certainly can watch Gunbroker to see which way that pendulum is going to swing. And it's per gun. Sometimes some are more desirable than others at certain times. So yeah, good advice for sure. Uncle Dan. Big Johnson talked me into changing my channel name from Shooting with Uncle Dan to Tradbow Time. Okay, Tradbow refers to recurve. Thank you very much. I'm not a bow person, so education is definitely helpful. I appreciate that. So longbow and primitive archery, but I'm also too lazy to make a video. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Looney Tune, good to see you, man. Good to see you. GB, have you shot both PX4 and Grand Power? So the Grand Power I did was the P11. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that was the one. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember where I got that, but yeah, I think it was a P11. Pretty sure, and I enjoyed it. It was a good gun. It's one of the more compact firearms, and I believe it was a DASA, if I'm not mistaken. That was fairly early in the channel. So yeah, I don't recall exactly, but again, I enjoyed it. It's the only Grand Power I have any exposure to at all. Let's see, I know Grand Powers, but only briefly. Had a PX4 on Iona years ago. I'm curious how big of a difference it is. I'm a huge PX4 Storm fan, a huge fan, especially if you can get a Langdon, it's the compact carry. It's incredible. The trigger is tremendous. Even the double action is maybe 7.5 pounds. Single action is probably 3.5 pounds, somewhere around there. The reset is almost staccato short. I mean, and I'm not exaggerating really by very much, maybe by a little, but it is really short. They're just wonderful. And I think the ergonomics are great. The grip is a little slick. I will be the first to admit. So it could have a little bit more texture on it. The Italians do things differently. They like their curves. They like things, I guess, a little bit more slick. I don't know. I'm not going to take that any further. But anyway, do a PX4. The full size is fine as well if you can find one that's been modded a little bit and the trigger improved. But yeah, the compact, not the subcompact. The subcompact's kind of goofy and it doesn't have the rotating barrel. Yeah, try a PX4 Storm. Seriously, do. Three-wheel man, GB Guns, we really need you to leverage your international weight and connections to get the Strybog updated pistols here sooner than later. The rotating barrel has to be a sweet across the line. What about the Glock 46? Can't forget about that either, but I totally agree, 100%. Bradley doesn't hold as many rounds, but I like the 239. Okay, I'm a sick P239. Yeah, is that what you're talking about? The 239? I'm assuming it's a good gun. And then there's the what's the other one? P250? No. P225 rather. Sorry, P225. It's a very good gun as well. Looney Tune, what would you say are your top 3 favorite double stack 9mm 1911 or 2011 variants? Staccato, Platypus, Wilson Combat, etc. Oof. Well, so I don't have any right now in the collection, but I was a big Staccato person. I mean, I think at one time I owned like 6 or 7. And I very much like them. The Combat Master was certainly top of the heap for that. Although, believe it or not, and it's not double stack, it was single stack, but the Staccato R, which they don't make anymore, was fantastic. I really enjoyed that one. But Staccato P probably would be the most easy for people to get into, at least on their wallets, if they want a full size, because I think they're run like 22 to 2,500, which is still a huge chunk of change. But for 2011s, that's a little bit more palatable. I would love to try a Platypus. I think they look really cool. It'd be fun to customize one from the top down. I've gone out to their website and kind of played around with their designer. You can all go do that. You can kind of design things, play around with the paint colors and the components and all of that, and put together something really cool. And I think they run like 1700, something like that. That's pretty palatable for a 2011. But for me, perhaps there aren't enough on the market. There's not enough data for me to be really comfortable with that yet, I guess. So I'd like to try one at some point, but it's pretty low on the list, I guess. But yeah, I would say Staccatos for sure. The Wilson Combat, what was the one that Harry let me borrow? I forget which one it was. It was one of the larger ones. Beautiful gun. It was absolutely beautiful. I liked it. I actually preferred the Staccatos a little bit. And maybe it was just time behind trigger, probably. But yeah. So top 3, I didn't really answer your question. I don't really have a top 3. I would probably go down the road of Staccatos. If somebody said I had to pick up 2011s again, that's probably the road I'd go. Let's see. GB Guns, P11 would be subcompact. I'm pretty sure it was a P11. That rings familiar to me. With a compact grip. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was it. All right. Steve B, let's see. I bought my son-in-law a P09 for Christmas. He seems to like it. Okay, cool. Yeah. I mean, like I said, they're good guns, no doubt about it. And I'm pretty picky about triggers, so I get a little bit more maybe nuanced than some people prefer to. So I can be kind of hypercritical sometimes. Three-wheel man, sorry for the error above. Not Stryborg, Grand Power Line. Okay. Really like the PX4 Storm. We need a version 2 update. I don't think they'll ever do it, but yes, I would agree. It'd be fun to see a version 2, so long as they kept the rotating barrel and frankly kept the trigger or made it a little bit even better. Ohio, I put a Langdon trigger job in a bag. Yeah, trigger job in a bag. Yeah, and my PX4 compact stealth controls. I agree, it's great. 100%. The one criticism, and you reminded me, the one criticism of the PX4 Storm is the ears on the decocker. Those ears that stick out, I mean, they will stab you. They really, really will. So yeah, the stealth controls are a must on a PX4. So if you don't do anything else, change that out. The work on a PX4 Storm is remarkably easy. Even changing trigger parts and all that, it's not very hard. And there's some good videos. In fact, Ernest Langdon's got a video out that's pretty good. It's short, so you have to pay attention, but it's very good. Let's see. Jeff Smarara. I'm so sorry. I don't know that I'm going to be able to pronounce that very well, but Jeff, hopefully I can call you that. Good to see you, and thank you very much. Appreciate it. Uncle Dan, thoughts on the platypus? I like it. It's a great idea. If I was going 2011, that would be because of the Glock mag capability. Or yeah, no, that's right. With my pistols and carbines. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of their thing, right? It's Glock compatible, and that's fine. And obviously, Glock magazines are plentiful. They have so many different sizes of them, so that's really cool for sure. I don't know that that would be the driving thing for me. I mean, I've got a B&T APC 9K, and it's got the B&T mags. I didn't do the Glock lower. First, I didn't like the Glock lower, how it's kind of slanted back. I like kind of that straight look on SMGs or PDWs, whatever you want to say. So it's the proprietary magazines, and those magazines are a little iffy sometimes. I know some people have had problems with them cracking. I never have, and I keep a bunch loaded with suppressor friendly rounds. But anyway, yeah. I need to get caught up here. Give me a second. Brian, I carry the PX4 full size 4-inch much of the time. Really enjoy it. Nice, and that's actually a fairly big gun to carry. Obviously not huge, but it's on the bigger size, so that's really cool, man. Let's see. That's it. Pistol Pete, platypus is a great idea. Terrible name. Agreed. Totally agreed. GB, I've been really impressed with Bull Armory DS 1911s. Less expensive than Staccato, but you've got to get in line for one. Yeah. So I haven't seen the DS line. I saw, was it a SAS2 or something? It's the little itty bitty teeny one that's about the same size as the Staccato CS, I want to say. It was super cool looking. It had a crazy fluted barrel as well, which I thought it was neat, if nothing else. I hear nothing but good things about Bull Armory. I do need to try one at some point, just for funsies. But I have not, aside from handling a couple, in transfer, that's about it. But yeah, I hear good things, and that's a great suggestion. It's a good alternative to Staccatos. And you can find a lot of them for less money. And sometimes you can get lucky. You can just find them out on Gunbroker. So sometimes they're out there. You'll just pay kind of top dollar for them, probably. Pistol Pete, you're going down a dangerous road, man. DWX full size is enough for me. You know how I feel about that. Yeah, DWX, it's good stuff for sure. In fact, I did get a couple more magazines, and no, you can't buy the ready-made magazines. You have to kind of piece them together. So I bought P10F and CZ P01 compact 15-round magazines. And then I bought the base plates from the Henning Group. I just went out to their website and put them all together, and their base plates are the real base plates for DWX. So they look identical to any other magazine that came with the DWXs, either one, the compact or the full size. And it's a great way to get more magazines for it. So I'll probably go back and do a few more as well. So just kind of an FYI on that. Ohio, have you looked at the Ermox pistol? What is that? I got one after GB covered it. It's remarkably easy to shoot. And I apologize. I must have missed that video. I'll have to go back and look at the back catalog. Sorry, GB. But you've got me curious. Or maybe I saw it and I just didn't remember the name. I don't know. But you've got me curious. I will go do a little bit of research right after the live stream, actually. So thank you for giving me something to do. GB, the little one's the SAS2. Okay. Yeah. 3 1/4. Yeah. Incredible gun. Yeah. It was super cool, man. I've seen one or two come in. That barrel is wicked looking. Really, really cool. The fluting on it's very unusual. I'm assuming that helps with the lockup. I would guess. Uncle Dan, yeah, I'm mostly using the Indomag for my AR9s, just for the apples to apples training with other AR-15 chambers. Okay, love Glock mags, but feeding mag is a bit different. Makes the mean arms Indo nice. Okay, I'm not familiar with that one, Uncle Dan. I might have to do some more research on that as well. Stay connected with EVs. I have the only Combat Master with Black Island barrel, and only other one Terran has, and Keanu. What would the best way I could sell mine? That's up to you, man. That's up to you. Maybe Gunbroker, I guess. I don't know why you'd want to sell that. If it's that rare, why would you sell it? Just asking for a friend. So anyway, the problem with one-offs, it's harder to put a price on those because there's nothing to bounce it against. So you could actually run into some challenges, and you might be a little bit let down. I could be wrong. I'm speculating, but that can happen. So just be aware. Pete, Henning makes the base pads and grips for DWX. Yep. Very, very true. I wish they would have screws on their website because that's one thing that's been a little bit of an irritant so far. Stay connected. It was confirmed from Staccato. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. GB, the Ermox is an interesting Glockish all-metal gun, takes Glock barrels and mags. Thank you for the reminder. I did watch that video. I know exactly what you're talking about. The name clearly did not stick to me, but I do remember seeing that on your channel. So thank you for that. Yeah, super goofy. But I like goofy, so it might be one to check out at some point in time. Steve B. Steve, getting snowed in tonight. Okay, so I'm reloading all the 9mm that I shot through the Shadow 2 Compact this week. Nice. Very good, man. Very good. What a great gun. The Shadow 2 Compact is fantastic. It really is. Stay connected. Thanks. Just want to put the money into another Staccato or two. Yeah, I mean, if you find the right purchaser, then yeah, you could probably do that. Yeah, much appreciated. Been sub for a long time. Nice, nice. Yeah, I won't tell you. I when I parted ways with all my Staccatos, just to make room for some other things, because I do that, as you know. The Combat Master did well. I won't tell you how well, but it did well. Now, keep in mind, it was the first and only run at the time, and they had ceased production. They have since reintroduced it, of course. So now the value went down on those, but anyways, it was kind of the right time, I guess, but I miss it. Part of me is really mad that I parted ways, and now if I wanted to get into one, it would be more expensive. So, you know, lessons learned. Pete, the Shadow 2 is a pig for ammo. Yeah, no doubt about it. But they're a lot of fun, man. They really are. Dave Gass, good to see you. Good to see you, my friend. I hope all is well with you also. Stay connected. Yeah. It made an appearance or two. I think it was actually on the Staccato R video very briefly in the beginning, and I think it was on Instagram a couple of times. It was very photogenic. It was a very photogenic gun. It had a square dust guard, makes it easy to stand up, and it's easier to photograph firearms standing up, or I think it's more interesting at least. Because you can do weird things with the background, all that kind of stuff. So that's way more nerdy than you probably want to know. But anyway, yeah, it's a very good gun, no doubt about it. Uncle Dan, can you go through comments? You can go through comments like nobody's business. Hats off. You know, it's funny. I don't do very much. I still get a lot of comments because obviously all the videos are still out there, with the exception of a couple that got pulled down. But I read through a lot of them still when I'm bored, a couple times a week, and I'll occasionally comment on one, or I'll throw a heart on one or whatever, if it's a nice comment. But I used to spend probably 10 hours a week on comments. I mean, seriously, it was a part-time job just answering comments. That part I don't miss very much because it can be a little bit overwhelming, especially the day you release a video. That's when a lot of people really want to jump in and start interacting. And I didn't learn, and I should have learned, but I didn't learn to kind of sit back and let the comments do their own thing. I always wanted to be a part of it. First, I like the conversation. I learn things. I mean, I always learn things from all of you guys, and the commenters, the general public as well. But sometimes the comments would just get infuriating or confusing. Like, you know, it's kind of hard to decipher what the meaning was and all that. I don't know. I don't miss that very much. So let's see, Uncle Dan, I'm talking live. You guys hit the thumbs up. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, that would be very nice. So, well, what other questions do you guys have? I'm trying to think if there's anything else kind of on the horizon or anything like that. And I really can't think of anything. I mean, it'll be fun to see what comes out of SHOT Show. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, there's an HK that I'm kind of interested in, or at least would like to see it. And that's the new baby VP9. I forget what they're calling it. I'll remember it and then forget it a few minutes later because it's sort of not memorable, and maybe they'll rename it, but they are coming out with a baby VP9, and hopefully it's double stack. Hopefully it's kind of in the vein of the 365s and Hellcats and firearms like that, and not a single stack, because that would be a huge miss. I don't think anybody's looking for a micro single stack at this point in time. I didn't understand why CZ did the P10M. That firearm didn't make any sense to me. I mean, it is tiny for sure. I mean, it'd be easy to conceal carry, but I don't think the market was looking for that. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you guys have a different experience, let me know. But hopefully this new VP9-ish type firearm and some of the other ones are pretty cool. And the Alien, they're advertising a new Alien, or at least kind of hinting at it on Instagram. I'd be curious to see that as well. Not one that I can afford, but but it would still be fun to see nonetheless. Let's see. Uncle Dan replied to every comment. Yeah, you were really good at replying for sure. Yeah, we had some good conversations in the comments. Stevie, I have a full-size Shadow 2. So I knew that before getting the compact, yeah, well, yeah. Let's see. It's so much fun to rip through 500 rounds. If I didn't reload, I would go broke. Yeah, no doubt about it. Those big firearms that are so easy to shoot, you can go forever. They don't beat you up very much at all. So let's see. Dave Gass, Uncle Dan, miss your videos. Hope everything is well. Yep. Three-wheel, any good leads on SHOT Show reveals? I mean, aside from that HK, which I assume is going to be revealed. And then I guess new P10s. From what I understand, I think Big Johnson was talking about that a couple, 2-3 weeks ago. So I would be curious to see that. But aside from that, I really don't know. Maybe there'll be a new PX4 Storm. There won't, but it would be nice if there was. Pete, do you shoot pistols suppressed more to help with the hand recovery? For a little while I did. Although I probably told you before, but I think I probably took 8 or 9 months almost completely off from shooting at all. So the last few months I've shot more than I did in the previous year. So the suppressor does help for sure. But no, I didn't necessarily lean on that to get back into it. I just leaned on the bigger guns. And actually, I may or may not have said this, but the first gun that I could manipulate and rack the slide was actually my USP Expert. The slide on that is so light and easy. I was able to just start kind of doing that action again, so I could build a little bit of strength and a little bit of muscle memory back in the wrist. So the USB Expert, that sort of has a very special place in my heart now, because it was the first gun I could start really working and manipulating, because otherwise racking slides hurt like hell in the very beginning. It was very uncomfortable. I'd get kind of a shock of pain going through my wrist. So that USP kind of helped me out. So again, probably more than you wanted to know. Ohio, let's see. I agree. Low cap single stacks are dead. Yeah, I don't know why anyone is focusing on that at all. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm sure other people probably have a different opinion on that. Pistol Pete, CZ is going to drop a Shadow 2 and 45 auto. Probably not. Maybe they could bring back the 97. That would be the smart thing to do, although that's another thing they probably won't. Scott, it's good to see you. Scott, please tell me, do you have a green PO9 or PO1 rather? Sorry. I swear you were saying that you had one. Please confirm. Uncle Dan, 2024 is going to be a big year for 22 long rifle. And thank you, Dave Gass. Okay. Why is it going to be a big year for 22? I'd be curious to know. GB, you can swap hands. I'm a lefty, left eye, but learn to shoot right because that's what guns are made for. Yes. Yeah, you absolutely can, for sure. You can. The only problem is, so my right hand is fine and I'm right-handed. It's my left hand that's still kind of a bummer. And so support hand was kind of out of the question at first. And obviously I couldn't switch hands to shoot out of the left hand. That was completely out of the question. So I was kind of down to, for a while, one hand. That's not the case anymore. And I can shoot now. Now I shoveled the driveway on Tuesday and it was that kind of real wet, heavy snow. And it was probably 6 inches. So pretty pretty heavy stuff. When I was done with that, I could feel it, and it probably was sore for 4 or 5 hours after that. I mean, I kind of got over it. I'm sure a Tylenol helped, but yeah. So it was kind of a one-handed operation for a while. So again, thankfully, I'm not in that place anymore. Pistol Pete, I'd like to see CZ introduce more caliber options. Tamfolio fits that void. Fair enough. Yeah. Although, what calibers would you want to see? I'd be curious. Ohio, I'm learning to shoot lefty at 61. Hard but fun. Yeah, it is a skill that really, especially if you're going to carry, you should have. You should have some confidence being able to put a few rounds downrange with your offhand. No doubt about it. So Scott, okay, love my P239 SIG, and I have 2 green P1s. Thank you. So you weren't here earlier, but I actually, in honor of you, I picked up a green P01 again. So I have that. I've got a couple of FDE lock grips on the way. I think a crosscut and a thin textured. So I'm excited for that. I do like the P01 a lot. It is a fun gun to shoot. It's a good looking gun. So this will now stay forever. The green ones are out there right now. There are several batches out there in case anybody is looking for them. Steve B, Shadow Tune 45, bring it on. I would buy one. It's just a 97. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like it's a 97, but yeah, bring back the 97. A lot of people like that gun. Let's see, Pete or DWX, full size and 45. It's all about that magazine, though. Yeah, that'd be a thick boy. Lidu, good to see you. Nice to see you back. Stumbled across your live chat. Have enjoyed your content. Really appreciate it, man. Yeah, I remember you used to join live streams. So we're back again, at least doing live streams. Usually a couple times a month. I'm going to try and get off the Friday thing if at all possible. It's just what fits my schedule right now. So at some point, I'm going to try and pick a better night. Maybe a Tuesday or Thursday or something like that. But for the time being, Friday seems to be it. So. Scott, maybe bring the 97 BD back in 10 millimeter. Yeah, you could definitely do that. I actually prefer 45 over 10, but I would take either one of them for sure. I was actually out looking for 97s. I didn't see anything that really fit the bill, but I would like to get back the 97. But this time, because I had a B, I would rather have the BD. Uncle Dan, just training volume compared to cost. Basically, I will train mostly 22 and a bit of 9 millimeter. I'll be saving the intermediate cartridge for hunting and defense. Hopefully, I don't need the defense. Yeah, hopefully not. Pete, I would like to see a Shadow Tune 10 millimeter or 45. It will never happen, though. No, probably not. I wouldn't count on it, especially now that they're integrated with Colt. I could be wrong about this, but I sort of feel like some of the innovation might be kind of going downhill a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to be negative Nancy on that, but I just sort of feel like that might be the case. Jeff, what do you think about the Glock 43X and the 15-round shield mags? So I've had the shield mags. I've never had an issue with them. I do know that some people have indeed had issues, but I've had good reliability. Some other buddies of mine that carry 48, not a 43X, they've got the shield mags. Again, never have had an issue. I don't know if it's a lot thing. Like the magazines that come in a lot, maybe they have some issues with certain lots. I don't know, but I think for me, if I was to go back and carry a 43X or a 48, and I don't anymore, I use a 365, but if I did one of those, I would actually probably run the factory mags. That would just be me. Now, I would still have the magazine release that goes with the shield mags, and I would run the shield mags to practice, but I think I'd probably run OEM if I was carrying. I know I'd be down a few rounds, but if I had a backup magazine or two, I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel like that's probably the way I would go about it. Just personal opinion. Parts by Teddy. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, man. So we're doing the streams again, at least from time to time. So glad to see you. Uncle Dan, Jeff, the PSA mag seems to be the way to go for 43X. I'm not familiar with the PSA mag. I'd be curious to know about that. GB, I love Colt's slogan, still making history because they haven't really done anything new in a long time. Oh man, you said it. The M5 carbine was a step, but also canceled. Yeah, I agree. What have they done? I mean, you can still obviously get a hold of some 1911s. I do still love my Colt competition 9mm. It's a phenomenal gun. Now it's had a little bit of trigger work, so it's kind of been helped a little, but I like that. But you're right. What have they done? Nothing. I guess they reintroduced like the Python and whatever. I don't know. Is there room for them to innovate at this point? That's what I'd be curious about. Maybe. I don't know. Pete, what I would like to know is why CZ USA still does not have the Shadow 2 compact on their website. They don't? I didn't know that. That doesn't make any sense. They're out there in droves now. I was looking for that Shadow 2 orange just to get pricing on that. And the compact was popping up everywhere. So if anybody wants one, they're out there, man. You can get them all day long. Let's see. Ohio PSA makes a 15-round mag, fits the Dagger Micro. I haven't shot mine yet. Okay, fair enough. That's another one. I see those daggers all the freaking time. Obviously, they price them very well because they come in droves also. Pete, they need a new slogan. Loud guns save lives. There you go. Micro Dagger being a 43X clone, right? Yeah, but it's proprietary magazines, right? Maybe it's not. No. I'm thinking of the Shadow Systems, whatever their smallest one is. That's a proprietary magazine. It's not Glock mags. GB, exactly. They keep making history. Yeah, right. Uncle Dan, my grandkids are here needing their pop, so I'm out. Good night. Thanks, Uncle Dan. We'll see you, buddy. Scott recently picked up a Glock 17M. It's supposedly the FBI model, and there's not a lot of them out in the civilian world. Nice. Yeah, I think, did you mention that a couple weeks ago? I feel like you did, or maybe somebody else mentioned one. But that's cool. Yeah, there's a 17 and a 19M. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think they had both of those models. But that's cool. Yeah, I picked up the Glock 25. We were talking about that a little bit earlier tonight. It's fantastic. I mean, if you're a 380 nerd like I am, I love 380s. They're so much fun. The 25 is worth checking out. I'm not kidding. It really is worth it. It's like shooting a 22. So if you get an opportunity and you've got whatever $500 just burning a hole in your wallet, the Glock 25 is pretty fun. I just looked over the time. It's 7:50. Wow, it goes fast. Thank you guys very much for making this a lot of fun. It goes fast because we're all having a good time. So I really appreciate that, and everyone leaving their comments and just hanging out for a little while. Scott, been considering, especially at that price point, the Grand Power and 9mm Makarov. Yeah, but how easy is it to find that round? That's what I'd be curious about. Yeah, it's cool round for sure, but I don't recall seeing it on shelves very many places. So maybe it is in your area. Pete, I still shoot my MP 2.0 and 45 more than a lot of other guns. Damn accurate pistol. Yeah. What did I see? What's the new M&P, the green one? I know Honest was, I think he was showcasing that on Instagram, and I think maybe he already dropped his video on it as well. But I forget what that one's called. I did see that one come in the other day. That was pretty cool looking. M&Ps don't really blow my skirt up, so to speak. They're fine. There's nothing wrong with them, but I don't really get into M&Ps as much. But it was pretty cool looking. In fact, it was just slightly lighter than the PO1 green, but it was a good looking gun. And I think it had a comp in the box. Now it came in a huge Smith & Wesson box. So they were really trying to do it up, had the knife and everything. I forget what the name of it is. Scott, my local FFL is a Russian dude, and they specialize in those kind of calibers. Okay, that takes care of that issue. Yeah, you got to pick one up then. Why not? And you could probably do it at a pretty good price. So might be worth it. So we've got a little bit of time left. Anybody have any other burning questions? Anything, any topics you want to discuss? And it's funny. So it's what I say, it's like 15 degrees outside. So pretty darn chilly. But with this door closed and I've got the heater like right at my feet, it's getting warm in here. Okay, so Pete, for me, a lot of my love with the M&P 2.0 is the grip. Let's see, I want my hands close to bleeding. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. It'll do that. I mean, it's a pretty substantial grip. And when is shot? Shot is it in a week or is it in 2 weeks? We'll have to, we'll have some good conversations once we learn about some of the things coming out at shot. I'm surprised more manufacturers haven't started teasing about that, or maybe I just haven't been looking, even though I feel like I follow almost all of them on Instagram. So yeah, I'm curious to see what's out there. If 2024 is going to be a banner year, I mean, hopefully it will, but who knows? Captain Phil, favorite subguns. Subguns, as in like submachine gun type things or PDWs. Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about subcompact firearms? I'll answer PDW style. The B&T APC 9K, absolutely love it. That's my bag gun. And then the CMMG Banshee and the actually Palmetto State Armory AKV. Love them all, run them all suppressed. They're great. I've had a lot of fun. So was it subguns? Was that it? Oh, GB. That was very nice of you towards the SHOT Show 2025 fun or a trip to Oregon so we can nerd out. Dude, I'm all over that. Let's do that for sure. The fellow nerd right here. We need to stay in touch. You've got my email address. And I've got yours. We need to hook up for sure. So thank you for that. That was very nice of you. Scott, I think it starts on the 23rd. Okay, so we've got a little bit of time left. But yeah, and that'll actually be right about the next time we have our next chat. So we'll have some things to talk about at that point, no doubt about it. Steve B, anyone have one of those new high powers? Which one? Is it the Springfield? Is it the FN? Which one? I added the Springfield for a very little while. I was not impressed with it. It did not do it for me. I'll be honest with you. I've never been a fan of high powers. I'm weird. I recognize their history, their lineage, their accuracy, all that. I don't like the triggers on them. I haven't met one that I really enjoyed shooting. So if I don't enjoy it, I struggle getting into it at all, to be honest with you. Let's see. Ohio, just Turkish high power clones. Never seen the new FN. Yeah, I haven't seen one of the FNs yet either at all. So what is this? Let's celebrate their third super on a live stream. I don't know if you guys see that message that I do. I've never seen that before. I don't know what that means, but everybody say thanks to GB. Again, that was very nice of you. The streaming thing it's totally different. YouTube has done all sorts of different things lately. Steve B, FN, yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen a single one yet. So are they out there? I'm assuming they are. Captain Phil, yes, PDWs, thanks. I like my Vector. Yeah, we had one come in the other day. They are cool guns. They are cool looking guns, no doubt about it. I feel like they have to be SBR. You've got to throw a stock on them because they're so kind of goofy looking and front heavy otherwise. Whereas some can actually operate as a pistol reasonably well, like a B&T TP9 or something like that. I mean, it's kind of a big pistol, but it can run. It really can. But yeah, Vectors, the cool factor on a Vector, say that 3 times fast, is ultra high. It really is. And I think they run suppressed pretty well from what I understand. Scott, I'm not a huge fan of single action only guns, like 1911s, like certain revolvers, or just single action in general. I'd be curious about that. Pistol P, what about a DASA gun? Do you shoot it only in DA? Are you guys talking to each other? If you're asking me, no, I take advantage of SA as much as I can. I like the single action. I have no problem with double action, but I want to take advantage of the single action. That's the payoff, right? You got to get through the double action to get to the single action. That's the fun part. Ohio, let's see. I like them for the trigger reach. DASA is a stretch sometimes for stubby fingers. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And I guess I'm blessed with long fingers, so I kind of put myself in other people's shoes, unfortunately, sometimes. Scott, I like DAS guns mostly, prefer with the decocker. Yes, I do agree with that. In fact, these guys sitting right here in front of me that I can't, that's another thing that's weird about YouTube. I can't show a firearm on live streams anymore. I went back to some of my old live streams. I wanted something kind of in the background while I was working on, I don't know, cleaning something out. So I put on an old live stream and I was just picking up firearms and showing them and everything. You can't do that anymore. That's so dumb. So I have a couple sitting right here that would be fun to show, but I can't do it. But they both have decockers. Pistol Pete, the Beretta 92 LTT double action is butter. Yes, it is. Full size or compact? Mine's a compact. Absolutely love it. And it's got the bob trigger or bob hammer rather. So it all just kind of melts in. It's really nice looking. Ohio, the Elite G is a fantastic pistol. I am not familiar with that. What's the Elite G? Help me out with that. Are you just shortening it? Is that short for something else? Let's see. Captain Phil, got to go. All right, man. We'll see you. Thanks for stopping by. It's going to be about that time here in a moment anyway. Ohio, full size here. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Full size Centurion compact. It's all good. Right on. Right on. Let's see. LTT 92 is a G model. Okay. Yeah. The Elite G, I guess that's what you were saying. Okay. Yeah. And you're right. They are G models. Yeah. I don't think Langdon would do an F model that I'm aware of. Any last minute questions, comments, witty remarks, anything else? We do try and keep these to roughly an hour or so. I see. What do we have? 32 watching right now. So thank you, every single one of you guys, for watching. Appreciate that. Hopefully, we can build that back up. I unfortunately being away for a while has negative side effects. Unfortunately. Let's see. Ohio, good to see you back. I've missed these. Yeah, it's fun. It's just fun for everybody to pile in a room and nerd out for a while. It really is. So like-minded people, it can be a lot of fun. Pete, great chat. Be safe, good people. Yep. Well, on that note, Pete's ready to go, as am I. It's kind of bourbon time, if you will. So as you can probably back there, there's a bunch of bourbon back there. So I have to pick a new bottle out. Jeff, when is the next chat? Unless something changes, I would count on 2 weeks from today. So not next Friday, but the Friday after that. I try and post alerts early in the day when I can, somewhere around kind of mid-morning or so. So just keep an eye out for that. But yeah, I do want to try and find a different night. I mean, Friday night's easy for me, but I think a lot of people like to go out and do other things. So I do want to try and find a different night if at all possible. So listen, it is 8 o'clock. Every single one of you guys, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. I hope all of you are warm and safe and have a great weekend. And hopefully you get to go out and do some shooting or buy a new gun or do something like that. Do something for yourself. You deserve it. So, but everybody, thanks. And we will talk to you on the next chat. Take care.